Hello, everybody. Welcome to the iPoke podcast. My name is Kyle Orr. I'm going to be your host, and my co-host Eric. We'll be talking about UFC 313 coming up this Saturday night. It's going to be an awesome night of fights. We're going to be talking about the main card and the featured prelim. So we're going to start off right off the bat with the main card. Really exciting 5-round championship light heavyweight event between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev, two absolute freaking world beaters. We got Pereira at minus 120, and we got Ankalaev as the slight underdog at minus 105. So, I mean, Eric, this is going to be an awesome fight. I don't know if it's going to if it's going to go all five, but I kind of hope so. I'm anxiously awaiting a war. So throughout the week, I mean, it was at I think like minus 110, minus 110 at one point. I mean, it was just it was just a total coin flip. The odds kind of edged in Pereira's favor a little bit later in the week, but I just see him going into this fight, and I think he's going to do what he does best. But the big question is, we have Ankalaev. He's one of those Dagestanis. I'm seeing a lot of talk online that he's gonna go out there and just Khabib and go out there and just like wrestle him. So but he doesn't really. We never ever see him wrestle. So what? He's gonna decide to do it this fight? I mean, I don't know.
So he's actually listed at 0.92 takedowns per 15 minutes. So less than one takedown per fight.
Yeah.
This is only his second 5-rounder. So most of his fights have been 3 rounds, 15 minutes. So he is coming in at less than one takedown per fight. I don't really agree with the Vegas odds makers. I don't think this is as much of a coin toss as they're making it out to be. Uh, because Ankalaev's path to victory would be what the people online are saying is to get out there and wrestle him. We saw Pereira get out wrestled by Izzy in their first fight. That was like 2.5 years ago, and we don't know how he's advanced, but he was out wrestled by a predominantly striker. Um, and he trains with Glover Teixeira, so surely he's improving. Pereira is, but wrestling is going to be the path to victory for anyone who fights Pereira. I don't see
Mhm.
really anyone in the light heavyweight division, let alone the UFC, outstriking him. So, yeah, Ankalaev can stand and bang. He has some TKO wins, but I don't see his path to victory being a knockout or a TKO. So, I would not call this as close of a fight as the odds makers are.
So it's safe to say that we're actually kind of getting, because I mean we're seeing a lot of prices in the past. It was just a little bit heavier into the minus territory, but here I mean
Hmm.
it's a coin toss. So we're getting a good price on Pereira here. I mean if we're confident on him, and it's kind of sounding like you are. So I mean, is Pereira your pick?
Definitely Prayer is my pick for that one. Yeah, this it would blow my mind if Ankalaev comes out this weekend as the light heavyweight champ.
Yeah. I'm
It
actually
would
gonna have to
blow
agree with you.
Dana's mind too, and Dana would be pissed.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just, yeah, Pereira. I mean, it's just like the guy is a world beater. He is so freaking strong. I mean, the guy is just, his takedown is suspect. I mean, we haven't really seen it. We haven't really seen it like tested, in a way that Ankalaev could go out here and theoretically do. I mean, because it's just, I mean, that is the path to victory theoretically. I mean, it's just, be a threat to him in the stand up, and then just, when you get the right chance, take him down, hold him down, and take
Yeah.
Pereira's best weapons away from him. So, but, Pereira's a black belt too. It's just I think he's going to keep this on the feet, and I think Ankalaev is going to go in there for probably about, I think for like 3 rounds he's going to stand and bang, because it's just that's what he does most of his fights, and I know he's going to want to go in there and test his striking against one of the best strikers in the UFC, in the world. I mean, it's just, he wants that belt, and he's going to go in there and earn that belt. But I just think Pereira's stand up is going to be too much for him. And then when Ankalaev does decide to go for the takedown, I think they're going to be desperation takedowns later in the
Yeah, it
fight.
might be too late.
Yeah.
It's going to be after he feels some of those left hooks. He's like, "Oh shit, now I need to start grappling."
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have that fire behind the takedown to actually get him there. I mean, I think this is going to be an exciting fight, but if I were Ankalaev and I really wanted to win and not get on the internet for 6 months and listen to all the hate, lay and pray would be the most reliable path to victory for him.
Mm-hmm.
Just take him down early in the first, do just enough work to not get stood up, and just try to repeat 5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
But we've never seen him do that, so the odds of him pulling it out this Saturday, it seems unlikely.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you there, but that's why my pick is also going to be Pereira. I'm gonna have to. I think he gets it done pretty early. I think that let's see. I want to go look at the odds here. So I mean, Pereira via TKO. I mean, that's plus 150. That's not a bad price. I mean, it's just that we got if you want a TKO from either side of the aisle, I mean, guaranteed. I mean, that's minus 150, but. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities that Ankalaev does land a kill shot on him. I mean, Izzy's done it before, so I mean, it's
Right.
and that was at that was at middleweight. So, but I mean, this goes to decision. I mean,
And I think that was sorry, I cut you off there, but I
no,
think
very
that
good.
was a big factor with that knockout in the second Izzy fight, second in the UFC Izzy fight, was that Pereira is big even for light heavyweight. So cutting down to 185, I think had a lot to do with that knockout.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah, that weight cut. Absolutely brutal. I don't even know how he made it, but him cutting down to 205 has made a lot more sense, and he's proven it time and time again. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just it's awesome to watch that guy to watch Pereira fight. I mean, he's one of a kind. But I mean, hey, if you think Pereira's going to go via decision, fight off those takedowns and just keep it standing the entire time, that's plus 550 by that, and those of you out there new to betting, that means, put $100 down to get 550. So, I mean, that's, might be something worth taking a stab at if you have a 6-leg parlay or something like that. Want to win some big money, but yeah, I think Pereira is a pretty confident pick here. I like him to get the knockout probably around possibly 2 or 3. I mean, I think if Thiago Santos can knock Ankalaev down, I'm pretty sure Pereira can do it
Mm.
too. Plus, this is a orthodox versus southpaw. Pereira
Yeah.
being the orthodox, and then Ankalaev being the yeah.
Southpaw.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I just
Ankalaev tends to come forward very aggressively
mm-hmm,
also, and Pereira is great at fading away and landing the left hook.
yeah,
Um,
finding that
that's
counter. Yep.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I would probably agree that this would go earlier, but you never know. People get beat up. Maybe Pereira's been practicing his jiu-jitsu, so I was just browsing the bets. Pereira with a fifth round submission is a plus 13,000. So, might not hurt on
I
FanDuel,
mean,
it is.
I mean, I can. I'd buy that for $1.
It's not impossible. So, I mean,
$1, nothing
put
more
10
though.
bucks on that.
That's your money, not mine. But I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities if Ankalaev does, I mean, take him down and then Pereira somehow reverses him. I mean,
Hmm.
that's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Or he
But
gets dropped, gives his back, and instead of ground and pound, he just puts the rear naked choke in real quick.
then he
It's
shows
all
how
possible.
he shows how versatile and
I'm just saying, if 10 bucks is gonna win you 1,300,
oh
something to
man,
think about.
we can all dream, can't we? All righty, let's go on to the next one. We got Gaethje versus Fiziev. So Gaethje is the underdog coming into this at plus 130, and we have Fiziev at minus 155. This is originally supposed to be a 5-round bloodbath between Justin Gaethje and Dan Hooker. But Dan Hooker hurt his hand, and he made all of us MMA fans very, 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 very sad. So we have Fiziev sipping in on short notice. He had a pretty lengthy layoff due to, I think, a knee injury, if I remember correctly.
A knee injury,
knee injury, yeah. And it's just so I'm kind of questioning just where he is right now. I guess physically. I mean it's obvious he's in fighter shape. I mean he weighed in. I mean every single fighter weighed in perfectly, including him. So I think that so I mean he's in shape to do it. It's just the question is where's his head going to be coming back from this layoff. Whereas you have Justin Gaethje, who's been training for 5 rounds with Dan Hooker, and he's been training at Team Elevation. He's training and he's at Elevation, and so it's just he was training for a 5-round war, and now it's going to be a 3-round war, just with a lot of heavy hands coming from both sides. So it's really hard to judge this one because it's just in their last fight. I mean it was so close. I mean we were talking during the week that it's kind of we were looking at the judges' scorecards. It's just a little wonky. I mean it's just
let me pull that back up. The judges' scorecards were crazy for that first fight.
Yeah, because it's just but long story short, it's just they were just so close. It's just kind of hard to see. Like, I feel like maybe at least one of the judges just saw more damage on Fiziev and then just decided to rule it in favor of Gaethje. I mean,
and that was part of it. Fiziev's eye was bleeding a lot at the end of the fight. He did get eye poked earlier on. I don't think that's what caused the bleeding to start, to be fair, but. Yeah, one judge gave round 3 a 10-8 for Gaethje. And that was the only reason the fight wasn't a draw.
And this is round 3, whenever he got that takedown?
Round 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did finally get a takedown in the last, 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Before that, it was 2 half-assed attempts.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty much a stand-up fight the entire time. And Fiziev was looking really good. He won the first round on all 3. Actually, no, because it's the UFC, and there's always got to be one judge that seems to be watching a different fight. There was one judge that gave the first round for Gaethje. But I think most people agree, if you watch that first fight back, Fiziev was winning the first round, was landing really good combinations, looked crisp, and then Gaethje started kind of finding the timing. Gaethje was landing some good uppercuts in the third round.
Yeah.
No doubt Gaethje won the third round. Was it a 10-8? I would say no. So it comes down to that second round. It was all really close. So what's the big keys for this one for me is, like you said, Fiziev's knee. I'm going to assume it's doing well. He's taking a lot of time off. He's living in Thailand where they can do as much stem cells as you want.
Right.
And then Gaethje, I really feel like his chin is what got him through that first fight. Gaethje really likes, after he's thrown punches, to kind of duck his head down, which is great if someone's countering with hooks, because you're going to duck right under him. But Fiziev was throwing big knees, and he did land a few of those on Gaethje. Just big shots. Gaethje's been known for his chin for most of his career. And then in his last fight, we see Max Holloway, who, although he is a great boxer, isn't necessarily who you think of as a guy with, one-punch knockout power, but just flatlines Gaethje, in the last 2 seconds of that fight. Amazing fight, fight of the year.
Yeah. He should. I was in DraftKings Sportsbook when that happened, and you shit, man, it's just this the yelling was deafening as we were watching that fight. And I had Max Holloway be a TKO. I won, I think, $1,700 on a couple parlays for that
Oh
one. So
yeah,
yeah.
nice.
Oh gosh, yeah. Max Holloway is my savior.
Yeah, no, he's great, but and he's amazing. As the self-proclaimed, and I agree with him. Best boxer in the UFC.
Absolutely.
He is a great technical boxer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what he did to Calvin Kattar, obviously amazing boxer,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't think of him as that guy with the scary one-punch knockout power. But he flatlined Gaethje.
Yeah.
Uh, so this is going to be Fiziv's knee versus Gaethje's chin. Because
Basically.
it's they're it's going to probably look a lot like the first fight, but those are two big keys that could possibly change it. Is Gaethje's chin not what it was as he's getting older, getting later in his career, and how well is Fiziv's knee healed from that injury?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, because it's just that it's just that knockout on Gaethje was just so. I don't know, it's just I'm very curious how he bounces back from that, because I mean it's just, I mean he just folded. And now, I mean, he closed. The thing is, from a betting perspective, I mean, he closed as a -230 on his last fight. And he's the favorite here again by a slight margin. I mean, it's just,
Fiziv
I kind
is
of, yeah, Fazeev was the favorite. Yeah,
yeah.
he was a far heavier favorite. And I kind of, kind of makes me wonder is just, if Gaethje's going to figure out, how to spoil it again with, a full camp under his belt, and then, it's just, I feel like you've got layoff versus full camp, preparing for a guy like Dan Hooker, but at the same time, Gaethje was not preparing for, a heavy hitter like Fazeev. So it's just,
Right.
yeah,
And
it's
so
just,
because of that, my guess would be Gaethje was planning more to stand up with Hooker. So he
uh-huh.
probably hasn't been wrestling a crazy amount
Mm-hmm.
in this camp. And wrestling would be a very good, it seems, path to victory for Gaethje. Um, he attempted 3 takedowns in the first fight. First two were pretty half-assed. He just kind of went in and then came back out and started striking. The third one at the very end of the fight was where he really committed and he got the takedown. It didn't look too difficult for him. Fazeev is the head kickboxing coach at Tiger Muay Thai in Phuket, which is a great gym. I spent a week there training back
Okay.
in the day, back in 2017. So I was actually looking at their website. Most of the staff that I was there and I trained with is no longer there. Number one being the Hickman brothers. These were American guys. They ran the wrestling and a lot of the MMA at Tiger Muay Thai back in 2017 when I was there. They're no longer with Tiger Muay Thai, and at least on Tiger's website, it doesn't show any pure wrestling classes that they offer.
Hmm.
There's jujitsu. They have a jujitsu head coach, but wrestling doesn't seem to be uh, something that's super big there right now. And Gaethje, you know, was a I don't remember if D1, but at least collegiate wrestler,
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
good wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
We don't see him use it a lot because he does like to strike, but that is always something he has in his back pocket. I would like to see him try to use that a little bit more in this fight than he did in the first.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we say that a lot, in past Gaethje fights. Like, it's just like we want to see more of that
Now,
wrestling,
where
and
is this wrestling?
I mean, but I feel like that's what won him the last fight. That was that one little tiny inch that he needed on that scorecard to I get, and I'm gonna have to agree with you. I don't know if it was a 10-8. That's kind of a stretch, but
Yeah,
but there are a lot of fights I do see where, just one takedown in one round just gives that fighter just that tiny little edge
I
to
could
give
see
them
how a
that
really
decision
close
win.
round, a takedown is gonna make it a 10-9 in that one fighter's favor. But I mean, if in my opinion, it was the uppercuts he was landing. It was the
Mm.
shots that Gaethje was landing that won him that round. A takedown in the last 10 seconds is good. It does still lean things in your favor, but that's not a fight determining thing for me. That you guys
Mm.
fought for 15 or you guys fought for 14 minutes and 50 seconds, and then you got a takedown. You
Yeah.
know.
Right. Well, in this fight, I mean, do you see a finish possibly, or do you see this going to decision? Because I don't know. It's kind of hard to. It's just hard to say. I feel like we might get a lot of the same what we last saw. I mean, what do you think?
I mean, the whole time initially watching the first fight, I was expecting a finish. I was surprised
Mm-hmm.
that the first one did go the distance. They're both hard hitters. I would not be shocked if we do get a finish, especially thinking that Gaethje's chin might not be what it was when he was a little bit younger. And I mean, Fiziev. I mean, it would suck to see Fiziev go out from an injury, but I mean, I
Right.
know this is only 2 years ago, but you know, Gaethje's getting older, and
Mm-hmm.
especially that knockout against Max
Yeah.
really makes me start to wonder if Gaethje's chin is going to hold up because that
Mm-hmm.
is something that has carried him through fights where he would face adversity, but he was so tough he could keep going. And then, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he's a great fighter, so he could still pull through and land when, you know, lesser fighters would have gone out. Gaethje was still there, still coming forward, still fighting. I mean, that's just how it is with CTE, with brain damage. Once you start getting knocked out, it gets easier and easier and easier. So that's making me give Fiziev a slight edge in this fight. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's going to be a great fight no matter what.
There you go. So, pretty safe to say you're going with Aziz on this one.
I am going to go with Fiziev, yeah. But like I said, it's a close fight. If you're going for parlays, I would probably have it end just before that one. I wouldn't risk your whole parlay on it.
I hear you. So, in terms of bets on this one, before I give you my pick,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, Fazeev via this, there was a double prop that I saw. It was Gaethje via decision or Fazeev via TKO, which was -125. I found that. I think that's the most enticing bet out of this entire thing. I think that's something I feel pretty safe with because I actually don't see Fazeev getting knocked out here. I mean, he could. It is Justin Gaethje. He hits like a freaking
Mhm.
truck. But I mean, I also over 2.5 rounds -130. I thought is very very possible. But I mean, it's just either I mean, kind of like you said, it's just Gaethje's chin is a liability. I mean,
Right.
after that Max fight, and also we just don't know how Fazeev is gonna look, from that long layoff. So it's just
Right.
we've got both of these factors colliding, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to go with Gaethje. Oh, not Pereira.
Yeah.
We have to go with Gaethje and to get this one via decision. I think.
Your
I think he's
decision.
going to edge it
Yeah.
out once again, and just kind of spoil the party for all the everybody putting their money on Fazeev. But hey, very close fight, and I'm very much even though it's not Dan Hooker. Oh well. I mean, but
It's going to be a great fight.
yes, it's going to be lots of heavy hands, lots of swinging, and just one guy trying to just knock one guy,
Yeah.
knock the other guy into the eighth row. So it's
Especially
just
Dan Hooker's a bigger name. He's more well known,
yeah,
I'd say. But I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed with this fight.
No,
It's going to
not at
be
all.
exciting. It's going to be entertaining.
No, I'm not. I'm very much looking forward to. I'm very much looking forward to it.
And actually, I will say one more thing. Now, I'm not
Mm.
changing my pick. I still am giving Fiziev the edge, but we've also got to give props to Gaethje's coach. You know, which I was just thinking of it now. I'm blanking on his name.
Yeah, I'm blanking on
Uh,
his name too.
Trevor Whitman.
Trevor Whitman,
Uh,
there he is.
yes, one of the best coaches in MMA. He is going to, even though this was on short notice, he is going to watch that first fight very closely and see every little thing where there was a mistake, work on it, work on how to fix it, just the little bit of here, cut this angle after you
Hmm.
land your cross or whatever it is. Trevor Whitman's just that type of coach. So that is a little something for Gaethje.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Trevor Whitman. I mean, yeah, he is a wizard. I mean, he just. I mean, he turned. It's just how he's able to coach Rose Namajunas. He's her
Hmm.
coach. Yeah, I mean, it's just how he was able to turn her. Just kind of make her kind of turn a corner and just make her continue like dominating the way that she has. I mean, it's just Trevor Whitman. I mean, the guy's a wizard, and
Hmm.
but yeah, I'm gonna have to stick with Gaethje here, but I mean it's the possibility of a Fiziev knockout or a close decision win is a very real possibility. And next up we have Jalen Turner versus uh, Ignacio Bahamondes.
Hmm.
I said that correctly. All right, cool.
Yeah,
So Turner
looks like
versus
it.
Turner versus Bahamondes. We have Bahamondes as the favorite, slightly at -130. Then we have Jalen Turner as the underdog at +110. So yeah, I've got a lot to say on this fight. You already know. UFC 300. I have a lot of parlays with Jalen Turner on them. I could have won even more money that night if Jalen Turner didn't just knock Moicano to the ground and then walk away like he won. Which yeah, last 30 seconds knocks him down after. I mean, and he's getting dominated too. I'm like, okay, there it is. It's just, I mean, what was the reach advantage? It was, I mean, it had to have been. He was a -270 favorite, and the reach advantage was vast. So I'm like, look, Moicano has been knocked out several times before. That's all you got to do. Use your range to your advantage. Knock him dead. Win the fight. Well, he thought he knocked him dead, and then he turned back around when Moicano got up, and he's looking at the ref like, "Hey, why didn't you say he was knocked out when he's back up?" So right then and there, it's just how can I not question Jalen Turner's fight IQ? I just like my jaw went through the floor when I saw that happen, and I'm like, yeah. It's over. That's it. Jalen Turner just lost. I'm ripping up all my tickets. That's it. So, as far as this fight goes, Bahamondes and Turner are about the same size. I mean, there's really, it's two very, very big guys for their weight class. But, I
Right.
mean, it's just this is kind of a Turner, of course, is the veteran here. I mean, he has a lot of experience against really good guys. But Bahamondes, he's the greener guy, very heavy hitter. But it's just if I'm a betting man, and I find Jalen Turner very hard to trust after that fight, and he has been a heavy favorite in other fights before. Uh, and it's just he has sus takedown defense. I mean, is that something Bahamondes can take advantage of? I mean, or is this just going to stay, or is this going to just stay on the feet between two very big lightweights? I mean,
That
so
would be my guess, is staying on the feet.
yeah.
Bahamondes has one submission in the UFC.
Mm.
Um, 6 wins, 8 fights. I mean, like I said, he is greener, but he's not green. I mean, he's got 21 pro fights total. 8 of those have been in the UFC. He's been in there. He has 4 KOs, 1 sub. uh, out of 6 wins in the UFC. So I mean, he's a good striker. I expect this to be on the feet for the most
Mhm.
part.
Absolutely. And yeah, and he hasn't. Let's see. I don't believe he's been knocked out. No, he's never been knocked out. He's been submitted
Yeah.
a couple of times in his
Hmm.
professional career, but it's just when you got a guy like Jalen Turner, it's just I'm sorry, it's just I mean he was let's see here, he was minus 270 against Moicano, he was minus 300 against Dan Hooker, but that fight could have gone either way. I mean, I'll go ahead and give him a little leeway there, and then but it's just he's either way. I mean, he shit the bed twice. Minus 300 against Dan
Yeah.
Hooker, minus 270 against Moicano, and then now he's coming in here as as a slight underdog. So with my luck, I'm showing a lot of hate here, and talking shit about his fight IQ.
Jinx
But
it.
so
Yeah.
that means Jalen Turner is going to go out here and he's going to absolutely dominate Bahamondes. And I base that on absolutely nothing. And with that being
Your bad
said,
luck.
because, it's just, I want to bet, on Bahamondes so bad, but it's just, he's just Jalen Turner's had three of these losses. It's just like, where does he stand here? I mean, it's just, where's he, where's that going to put him in the rankings from here on out?
Mhm.
What's that going to look like? So I feel like Jalen Turner is going to have to, go in here and actually put on a clinic against the Green Bahamondes. So, uh, you know, or this might be another situation where his fight IQ just gets the better of him, and he lets Bahamondes, outpoint him in every way, and take this fight away. So it's just, but yeah, with my luck, because look, I'm not laying any money on this fight. Sorry, but if I had to put any money on anything, I would maybe put Turner Bahamondes to end in a finish, which is minus 200, kind of a steep price tag, but I mean it's something. Uh, and also Turner versus Bahamondes to end in specifically a TKO is minus 115, which is a little bit more forgiving. So I would say Bahamondes Turner to end via TKO minus 115 is the only bet I would place on this fight. Either way, I'm staying the hell away from it. I don't want any part of it whatsoever. I learned my lesson at UFC 300.
Yeah.
But
No, that makes sense. Now, although they both do have a handful of submissions between them, that's not their bread and butter. They're both strikers. So, I mean, yeah, if you're going to be betting on a finish, KO TKO is a pretty safe bet to go on that one.
yeah, I'd have to say so. And I mean, it's just Turner's a more lanky guy, and I'm expecting Bahamondes to land the more powerful shots. And it's just Turner's shown chin. Sorry, excuse me. Turner has shown chin issues in the past, so I mean, perhaps
Mhm.
Bahamondes can take advantage of that, which is why, once again, the fight to end at a TKO minus 115 is literally the only bet I would even think about
Yeah.
considering if I was to put my money on this fight.
And by the way, you were talking about the reach advantage against Moicano. That was a
Mm-hmm.
5-inch reach advantage that
Yeah,
Jalen
still.
Turner had. He's only got 1.5 inches on Bahamondes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're both very big lightweights for their class, so it's going to be very
Yeah.
interesting how they match up against each other when they're normally outsizing their opponents. So
Right. Both 6'2", um, both fairly young, 29 and 27.
mhm.
Um, there's similar reach. The size out the tail of the tape is pretty similar on these two.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your pick on this one?
Bahamondes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
I'm
you
gonna give him the edge.
you see this ending in a finish or a decision, or just to get the win, however which way?
I would lean towards a finish, just because they are both good strikers. Um, Now I believe, let me pull this. Yeah, so Jalen Turner, got finished by Moicano in his last fight. And then his last win before that was at the end of 2023 when he knocked out King Green.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, his two previous fights against Hooker and Gamrot were both decisions, split decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, Jalen Turner's record looks almost exclusively finishes.
Mm-hmm.
And then same with Bahamundes. Actually, I misremembered that. Bahamundes does have two decisions um, in his last four fights, but mostly TKOs with one guillotine submission
Mm-hmm.
also. So yeah, I would lean more towards a finish than a decision.
Next up, we have Lemos versus Lucindo. Lemos is at plus 120, the underdog, against a very much younger Lucindo at minus 142. Let's see, the age difference is how many years?
37 and 23.
Wow, that's Lucindo is
That's
14
pretty
years
significant.
younger.
Yeah,
My
yeah, that's a
goodness.
significant difference.
Wow. And then but yeah, Lucinda's running a 4-fight win streak since her UFC debut in 2022 against an undefeated opponent at the time. Her name's Yasmin Yargui, but she has since gone to lose two, where she is a heavy favorite. So we're kind of wondering, like, it's just like, is Yasmin UFC caliber? It was just kind of
Right.
a flop because Lucindo's very aggressive. Like, it's just Lucindo's gonna have to use her. I think her best weapon here is her wrestling by far.
Yeah.
And even though Amanda Lemos is a very, very, very big step up in competition, Lemos has been in there with some of the greatest in women's
Yeah.
mixed martial arts. Lemos. The name of the game is just to defend a relentless onslaught of takedowns over 3 rounds. I mean, it's just the fight with Zhang Wei Li. Showed with the right wrestling talent. I mean, it's just that's all you gotta do to beat Lemos. I mean, it's just just
Hmm.
take away her best weapon, which is her striking. Lemos is a very good striker, but the problem here is
Also with
that
some good subs.
yeah, and the problem here is if Lucindo doesn't keep up a rigorous wrestling pace, I'm talking pushing forward the entire fight. If she lets off the gas, I mean, even slightly, Lemos is going to take advantage on the feet, and she is going to take over. So, I mean, it's just Lucindo, I think, is the rightful favorite, being as young as she is. The athleticism is, I think she has an edge there, but. Like I said, it's just Lucindo's weapon is the wrestling. She has to stick with it if she plans to beat Lemos in this fight, or else, like I said, Lemos' stand up is going to take over. But my pick here is going to be I'm going to have to go with Lucindo on this one, just because
Yeah.
of the vast age difference. She's hungrier, and Lemos has shown that she is very prone to takedowns. Against the right opponent. So it's just
Hmm.
I'm gonna go with her to get it done. But like I said, she lets off that gas pedal. It's Lemos's fight.
I'm actually gonna pick Lamotion in this one because I think her experience is gonna kind of outweigh Lucindo's kind of youthful athleticism. Because although that is a significant age difference, Lucinda just doesn't strike me as that fighter who is a just blow your mind athlete. You know, like that youthfulness isn't necessarily outweighing all the experience that Lamoche has inside the octagon. Uh, of Lucindo's four wins in the UFC, they've mostly been decisions. She does have one sub in there, but Lamoche has knockouts and subs. Fought a lot of the best of the best. Has lost, decision to Wei Lee. Um, Won in a decision recently against Mackenzie Dern. So that's kind of showing you that, hey, she can deal with some really good grapplers. Maybe if it's not so heavy on the wrestling side, but a little bit more heavy on the jiu-jitsu side.
Mhm.
Then Lelouch was subbed. Let's see, this was last July by Jane DeRoba. But that's the name of the game. It happens.
Mhm.
This is going to be a good fight. Uh, Definitely, it's a big challenge for both. But I really do think that the most experience is going to outweigh that age difference and that kind of youthfulness that Lucindo is going to be coming with.
All right. So, in terms of from a betting perspective, I think the odds are justified. It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, both of them don't really have a size advantage, like height or reach, against the
Right.
other. And like you said, that experience, experience versus athleticism. One of them doesn't always, always trump the other. I mean, it's just it can kind of go both ways, but it's just from a betting perspective. It's hard for me to lay money on either of these fighters. I mean, much respect to them, but
Right.
it's hard for me to bet on women's MMA in general, just because it's
Yeah.
just there are so many fights that just when they go to decision, they could just go either way, and
Could
it's
go.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard for me to do that. There's some of them. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll bet her all day, but this is not one of those fights, unfortunately. It's so the best props that I saw, I'd have to say, since I picked Lucinda to win. I mean, Lucinda via decision plus 120. I mean, that's the same price you're getting on Lemos,
Hmm.
but you know, but the thing is, it's just Lemos. She has some sneaky submission skills. So what are the odds that Lucindo goes in to take her down and doesn't position her body the right way and then all of a sudden locks up her neck? I mean, so that's why the one prop bet I saw, it was kind of a double at Lemos via sub or decision plus 150. That's kind of enticing right there. I mean, it's just that, I mean, if you want to get kind of cute, but I also thought Lemos to win via finish, I mean, say she gets a knockout, say she, gets that sneaky submission, plus 380. Throw down 100 to win, 380. So, I mean, it's just,
Yeah.
I think that could be a pretty sneaky bet if you're looking to get cute, throw caution to the wind. But, yeah, I'd have to
Absolutely.
say Lucindo, via decision would be my pick here.
Lucindo versus decision. All right. Yeah. I see it. I agree. It going to a decision is likely. I'm looking right here. The over 1.5 rounds is a minus 670.
Yeah, that's a
I
little
gotta
bit.
agree. That
That's
sounds
a
right.
heavy price tag. Yeah, but
It is, but I mean, I feel like
I mean,
it's
if you're looking to,
unlikely that they're gonna get a finish in the first round and a half. So,
yeah, it's just, I
yeah,
mean, if you want to get cute and take the other way on that, I guess you could. But yeah, it's just
yeah,
that's too heavy of a burden for me. I like to play it safe with my funds. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know. I
You're
mean,
more
if you
better than
think
me.
that. Do you think the fight's going to end in decision? I mean, it's just. I mean, we can go ahead
I
and
mean,
jump on
both
that wagon.
both have. Well, Lucindo doesn't have a crazy amount of finishes.
No.
The most does finish people. She tends to finish people later in the fight. Um, Looking back through, I do see a few first round finishes, but the most recent one being in 2022, and then some others in
Hmm.
2021, all the way back to 2019. Besides that, we're looking at 3, 5, 3, 2, as in the rounds. Um, Tends to be later in the fight. whenever she does finally get her finish.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. It's just yeah, I'd have to say. I think the only. I mean, is it safe to say you think that the only fighter capable of a finish in this spot would probably be Lemos, if any of them?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Especially because she has two ways that she does tend to finish people. She knocks people out, and she gets submissions.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'd have to go with
Whereas
that.
Lucindo,
Yeah.
one arm triangle back in 23.
Mm. Yeah, I'd have to go with either probably if I had to narrow it down to two, I'd have to go Lucindo via decision or Lemos to win via finish. I think those are the only two I'd probably go
Yeah,
with. But
those.
then again, Lemos, the plus 120 price tag, you can't beat that either. But I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just this is just for little small prop bets only. I wouldn't put a whole lot of money on the money line for either of these ladies,
hmm
unfortunately, because well,
This card, the way they're spaced out, it's not kind for parlays.
it's not.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's
because
it's it's kind of
it'll
tough.
go fight I'm pretty sure about, fight I'm not so sure about,
Yeah,
fight I'm pretty sure about, fight I'm not so sure about.
that's the beauty of betting.
Yeah.
So I guess we can go ahead and move on. So next fight we have King. He's no longer Bobby.
Yeah.
He's King Green now.
King Green.
That's a real hard adjustment for me to make, but yeah, it's
Right.
it's King Green now. All right,
This
and
isn't
then
his first fight as king though, right? Was he king
I don't
against
believe
Patty?
so. Yeah,
I
I
think he
think
was
he
king
was. Yeah,
already against
that was the
Patty.
first one, and that was hard for. I think it was even hard for the commentators to get that
The
straight.
the bad debut
Yeah,
for the king name, but
yeah, and
yeah.
but it's just hey, you do you, man. You're the one out there putting on a show for the rest of us, and making that
hmm
money. So we've got King Green facing up and coming Mauricio Rufi. Is Ruffy? I'm gonna call him Rufi.
Uh, I think it's Ruffy.
Is it Ruffy?
Now that you say it, I'm unsure. I had been in my head reading it as Ruffy.
I don't know. The Roofy could be short for like his last name, possibly.
Yeah.
That's could be
And
too
the
hard to
last
pronounce, but
time
for me to
I
pronounce.
watched uh, him fight, which it was on John Jones' card, wasn't it?
I believe
It's
so.
he's not pulling up his stats as easily. I want to say he fought on the Jones Stipe card, but maybe I'm just no, yeah, Jones versus Miocic, uh,
I should probably say
November
Ruffy just so the
2000.
algorithm doesn't get us. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, okay, yeah. Anyways, all I
I'll
was
say
gonna say
Ruffy.
last time I saw him fight, where he had a good performance in that fight, and it really got me paying
Hmm.
attention to him.
Yeah, he
Uh,
was. Yeah.
I was at a bar watching it, so I couldn't hear what I always, however John Anik pronounces it, that's law. He's gonna be the most accurate of any of them out there.
Yeah, the thing is with so Ruffy back in that fight was he was a whopping what was that -9, yeah, -900 favorite, which is
Man,
insane. Yeah, that's a lot of
well,
that's a lot of money.
and
And
that one went to decision.
Yontop since then, that was his opponent, James Yontop.
hmm
I mean, he had two UFC losses already. So I mean, it's just coming in as the underdog was expected, and oh, he came in heavy. Yontop came in heavy as well. So, hmm.
hmm
But it's just but Rufy, he I mean he put on a really quick clinic against Jamie Malarkey back in 2024. And then in his contender series debut, he back in 2023, he came in. He was a slight underdog in that fight, but he won via ground and pound. Uh, I feel like haven't we haven't seen him enough.
Seen enough?
For
Yeah.
I hate to I guess you could say the odds are justified given how given Green's recent performances.
Mm-hmm.
But to lay a minus 470 price tag on somebody like, somebody who hasn't really been proven yet in Risa Rufi against, a seasoned vet like, King Green. I got to correct myself there.
Right.
King Green
Yeah.
against King Green. I mean, it's I'm sorry, I can't lay that kind of money on that. I'm only gonna be looking on prop bets for that one. So,
Right. No, I'd have to agree with you. I do give Ruffy the edge in this fight, but that minus 470 seems like a lot.
way too steep.
Um, yeah, King Green, you know, has lost recently. Again, we were also just talking about the age difference
Hmm.
between Lamosh and Lucindo. There's a good 10-year age difference between these two, which is significant. 28 and 38. Um, that's significant. Green's last win was against Jim Miller at UFC
Hmm.
300, uh, which is a legend. That's the
Hmm.
thing. Green has beaten a lot of the best, and he's lost to a lot of the best. He
Hmm.
fights the top guys because he has been in the UFC since 2013. And before that, he was fighting in like Strike Force and Affliction. And I mean, he's been a pro MMA fighter for 16 years.
Hmm. Yeah, and his last win against Jim Miller. I mean, it's just like, how many more years did Jim Miller have at that fight? Jim Miller
Yeah,
just goes in there. He goes in there to put on a show for all of us. So I mean, it's just,
absolutely. Yeah.
much respect to him. Much love to Jim Miller, and he was the rightful favorite at minus 195 on that fight. Bobby Green or King Green was. Uh,
Right.
than Bobby. But then
Mm.
yeah, but going up against Patty Pimblett, I mean, it was a coin toss, but I was pretty confident Patty Pimblett was gonna come away with that fight in some fashion, just because it's just Patty Pimblett has a lot more skills than a lot of experts give him credit for. I think Patty's a
Mhm.
lot more dangerous than a lot of experts out there, commentators give him credit for. So, uh,
Well, I think one of the big things with Patty is he got a lot of hype early on because he has this weird hair. He's funny, charismatic. People were kind of hoping like fine, and he's like Irish, British, whichever part of UK, whatever he's from. I think a lot of people were hoping like this is our new Conor McGregor. Like, we
yeah.
finally have another charismatic guy for European MMA. And then he had some rough fights, and the MMA community is quick to if you don't keep performing, we decide you're washed up. You know.
Hmm.
So I think that had a lot to do with like the Jared Gordon fight. People thought that he was gonna just smoke him, and then edging out a controversial decision, I think started to change some people's view. And then what was his next fight? Tony Ferguson. I mean, Tony's a legend, but we all know he was at the end of his career several years ago.
Hmm.
Uh, so having to go all the way to a decision with Tony Ferguson started getting some people and some analysts questioning Patty.
Yeah, very true. But I
But
mean,
some
he's
interesting,
he's gotten up. I mean, we'll see how he does against Michael Chandler. But just
yeah,
we won't go too far off the rails right now. But
yeah, yeah.
but it's just
Um,
I'm very much looking forward to that fight, because it's going to show that's really going to reveal a lot of what we're wondering. Is how much longer does Michael Chandler have left? B, does Patty is Patty it? Is he you know should we believe the hype? But
yeah.
but yeah, anyway, I digress. But yeah, just going back
Yes,
to
some interesting stats on Ruffy.
mhm.
He has never attempted a takedown in the UFC, and he has 100% takedown defense.
Okay. Yeah, so
But
I mean,
he's had less than 35 minutes in the octagon.
correct.
So those stats aren't telling us necessarily a full picture of how he is as a fighter, but I did think they were kind of interesting.
And I kind of see. I mean, I see Green going out here and striking with this guy. I just it kind of makes me wonder if if
Yeah.
Green's gonna throw caution to the wind just to take this guy out early and give this guy a proper UFC welcome. But going back to kind of just going back to what I was talking about, odds wise, like I said, I cannot put minus 470 on a guy who has been untested as much as
Right.
Ruffy has. It's just
This
it's
is
not
fourth
something
UFC
I
fight.
can't do it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not
Against
something.
such a legend.
Yeah, and it's just Bobby Green. He's been here for a while, so
Mhm.
it's just this is a spot where it's just everybody laying money on the favorites is could get completely screwed because Bobby Green has been in those spots before. I mean, let's go back to his fight with Grant Dawson. I mean, he was what was what were the odds on that? Sorry, he was yeah, he was a plus 350 underdog against Grant Dawson. Knocks
Mhm.
him out in the first round. I mean,
Yeah.
this is MMA, man. I mean, anything can happen. But
In 33 seconds,
mhm.
also.
so it's just this sport is absolutely insane. That's why you and I love it. And so in this spot, I'm kind of just the age difference too. We got to point that out. 10-year age difference between the
Yeah.
two, which
Hmm.
is which is a factor. So uh,
And especially with two strikers, it can start to come back to what we were talking about with Gaethje and Fiziev.
yeah,
Uh, is King Green's chin starting to fade?
yep,
Um, I mean, he got choked out in his last fight, so we didn't
hmm
necessarily see his chin get tested, but Jalen Turner did knock him out
hmm
back in late 2023.
yeah. And then in all fairness, yeah. See, once again, like Jalen Turner knocking out King Green, it goes back to our conversation earlier about what I thought Turner was going to do to Moicano when he's got
Right.
like about like almost 5-inch reach advantage.
Hmm.
He just like, oh, I'll use it against King Green, but and he uses it against Moicano and then doesn't
Six.
follow through, and so it's
Yeah.
just, eh,
Turner has a 6-inch reach advantage on King Green.
yeah, it's just that's nuts, and so it's hard for me to. I would love to. I'd love to pick Bobby Green in this spot.
Hmm.
I would, but I think my pick is gonna have to be Roofy here to lay that kill shot on Bobby Green. And I hate that I'm doing that. I want to bet the underdog here, but I literally just cannot pull the trigger on it. So what do you think? What's your pick here?
That no, that is also my pick. Say if my life depended on it, um, then yeah, uh, Ruffy, Roofy, uh, whichever one.
One of those.
Yeah, I think he is most likely, but I do also think that these odds are not the most accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So Green still has like a puncher's chance. It's not by any means impossible, or it would be too mind blowing for Green to knock him out. So if you do wanna, you got some money that's burning a hole in your pocket, you could take Green at a plus 360.
Just to win some way
Potential for a
somehow.
big payout, yeah.
Yeah. But I think the bets I saw that kind of it's just it's just Ruffy has 10 of his wins are via knockout. That's that's his pretty much his whole career. I
Yeah.
mean, sorry, excuse me. The guy has a lot of power. I mean, it's just so I mean, I'm looking at Ruffy versus Green to end in a finish is at sitting at minus 200, which is way better odds than minus 470 if you want to lay money on Ruffy. Uh,
Yeah,
so
and that's the way it's likely going to
yeah.
happen.
So
So that
basically, yeah, basically my point is if you want to bet on Ruffy to win, I would recommend you go Ruffy versus Green to end in a finish at minus 200, I think, or
mhm.
even more. I mean, Ruffy via or take it a step further, if you want Ruffy via TKO, minus 135. There you go. Because I think it just I think that's way better than laying minus 470. But
Yeah.
and then
Ooh. Green by TKO plus 1200.
yeah. So you want to get real nuts.
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. Is
I mean, that's pretty much. I mean,
again
what's Green's path to victory? That brings us to another conversation. Like, what's Green's path to victory here? How is he? How does he beat
I
him?
would say
It's just.
knockout.
I mean,
Landing that good punch.
he probably has to. Being such a
Uh,
heavy underdog. I mean, he probably does have to come out here and throw caution to the wind. So I mean, that's a good argument that that could be his only path to victory. So I mean, you want to get crazy and say Green via knockout. Hey, I mean, but
so
I'd have to
three.
say another prop I was looking at if you wanted to get into like safe plus territory. I mean, under a round and a half is at plus 140. I think that would be good. So
Under a round and a half, though. You
yeah,
think it'll be that quick?
I mean if Ruffy's gonna win the way that I think he's gonna win. Yeah, I mean everyone thinks he's gonna win. It's just that's his Ruffy's path to victory is not taking Green out quick, because if he doesn't take him out quick, I kind of worry about where this fight's gonna go. So I mean Green via decisions plus 600. I mean if that tends to happen. So but
Mm,
anyway, we're kind of hitting this from all
yeah,
angles now, but
getting
it's
deep.
just I think it's pretty safe to say I'm not laying minus 470 on Ruffy, but if I am going to bet on this fight, I'd have to say the fight to end in a finish at minus 200 I think would be probably the safest bet with
Yeah, I would agree with that.
yeah, and then Ruffy versus Green and via TKO at minus 160 is also not the worst way to go. Then also Ruffy
Hmm.
v TKO minus 135. That beats the minus 470 price tag. So I think either of those three bets I think would be the best way to go here. But
For
do you have
sure.
anything else to add about this one?
No, that covered everything I had.
Cool. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and move on. So for our feature prelim of the evening, this is the last fight that we're going to be covering this evening. We have Curtis Blades versus I only have last names. What is
That's the only part of that name. It's something starts with an R. Pretty much, if they're not from America, I don't even attempt first names. Rizvan?
Rizvan Kudiev? Yeah. So we've got Rizvan Kudiev versus popular veteran Curtis Blades. Let's see. He is at Curtis Blades is sitting right now pretty heavy favorite at minus 340. Come back on Kudiev is plus 270. So Curtis Blades, I mean, it's just he's shit the bed before, yes, but he's in a spot right here against a very green, very unproven Russian who.
Yeah.
Looking at his record, I mean, he's got a lot of fights, and he has fights that date back to 2011 in terms of his professional career. He dates back to yeah, but it says here he's also. Oh, this is weird. So it says here he's done. All right, so he's been professional since 2011, and he's taken amateur bouts from 2014 up until 2018. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I mean, this guy is
Maybe.
fighting all the time, but the question is, who is he fighting? Because he's not fighting anybody I've heard of, except.
That's the thing with a lot of Russians. Um,
Yeah, they're kind of
and
just.
it's a knock that people have on Khabib about his undefeated record.
Yeah.
Uh, you could argue Khabib had like 4 tough fights. You know,
Yeah.
uh, he. I mean, once you're in the UFC, you're in the UFC. Even though a coked up Conor McGregor coming off the Floyd Mayweather fight was the perfect title match for a badass wrestler. Uh, take all the UFC fights aside. When Khabib was in Russia, his record was getting padded. He was fighting chumps. I don't have his record and the guys he fought pulled up right now. But if I remember right, one dude he fought was like 5-47 or some crazy terrible record. Because there are
Just
those guys out there,
well, they
you
put him
know.
in the bag and just like, all right, come in here and hit him. Like,
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
my
And
gosh.
he got his experience on how to land takedowns. That's not an uncommon thing.
Hmm.
You know, there are guys who they decided they were going to be pro fighters, but then they realized they weren't going to be the top of the world. So they're like, okay, yeah, every now and then I'll go get $1,000 or whatever it is to go fight, and if it looks like I'm starting to get hurt, I'll tap early, whatever. Uh, and it's much bigger in boxing,
Yeah.
uh, but it has its place in MMA too. But anyways, all that aside, yes, Kniev is much more green, even though they're pretty close in age, 34 and 32. But Blades has a lot more experience against high caliber fighters.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, we all know who Curtis Blades is. I mean, he,
Hmm.
compared to, I mean, there's really no. I mean, when we're looking at the tail of the tape, I mean, we've got Blades with a 4-inch reach advantage, and I guarantee you, Blades is going to be utilizing that because Kudiev, what he likes to do, kind of just from what I saw from his Contender Series fight, he likes to he likes to get real close. He likes to use
Yeah.
his weight to like drag you down, and he likes to get up into that clinch, and he likes to dirty box. Like like as soon as he
Yeah.
gets a hold of you, he is using that tie clinch, and he is dirty boxing. Like he's
Hmm.
using knees, he's using that's what he likes to do, and he likes to go in there. He likes to push forward. He likes to bully you up against the cage. So, I mean, as long as Curtis Blades, I feel, can keep him at range, maybe even land a kill shot on him. I mean, his striking I think, has improved slightly. I mean, over his past couple fights, but
Yeah.
I mean, minus minus against Tom Aspinall, but I mean, Tom Aspinall's Tom Aspinall. I mean, but
Yeah. And he in their first fight with Blades and Aspinall,
yeah,
I thought Blades was looking good. He was landing some good combos,
yeah,
and then is actually ruled as knockout slash TKO, but it was Tom's knee injury that
yeah.
ended that fight.
Oh yeah.
Um, but all that aside, I thought Blades looked good, even in the rematch, as short as it was. I thought Blades looked fairly good coming into the exchanges, and then Tom caught him, and Tom's just strong. I mean, a lot of heavyweights are strong enough to put someone down. Tom is also athletic enough to get onto you and clear that space and not let you get back up to your feet and get oriented. And I think that's really what that was. Is it was two giant 265-pound dudes in the exchange. Whoever landed first was going to get dropped. But then against, as much as I love him, maybe against Derek Lewis, someone who isn't such a quick athlete,
Yeah.
isn't going to get right on top of you as quick as Tom Aspinall is. You
Hmm.
know, so I think that's part of what that fight was.
Yeah. But I mean, and Curtis, he's gonna be coming in this fight. I think with more weapons in his arsenal in terms of like how to win. So he's got multiple paths to victory. Whereas Kudiev, he's got one: rush forward, bully, come in and bully him, use a tie clinch, and get the quick knockout. But like as long as Curtis Blades
Yeah.
uses his veteran savvy, keeps him at range, utilizes his wrestling that he's known for, I think he's got this fight in the bag. But this kind of goes back to earlier, with Green versus Ruffy. I mean, it's just I don't know if I can lay that kind of price tag on somebody who has shit the bed before, especially in terms of. I mean, him losing against Derek, he was not supposed to lose against Derek Lewis. I mean, it's just like he should have taken Derek Lewis down and just ground and pound. But Derek Lewis is going to do what Derek Lewis does. With
Swing bang.
jeez, yeah, and just knock the soul out of him. But yeah, but then again, we're going back to Curtis Blades' chin. Speaking of which, Kuniev is going to have, I think, one game plan. He's going to run in there in the early in the first round and try to bully Blades, and once that attempt is unsuccessful, Blades is going to take him down. Then the start of the next, if Blades doesn't finish him, start of the next round, Kuniev's going to do the same thing and repeat for the third round. But I think Blades is going to have enough veteran savvy to keep this new guy at bay. This new guy with the padded record at bay. So I'm going to have to pick Blades in this one.
I'm gonna agree picking Blades. Especially, I didn't see the weigh-ins today, so I don't know what Kuniev weighed in at.
264 and 262. 264 for Kuniev.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so about the same. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I saw he was listed in a previous fight. He came in at 240.
yeah.
So I was thinking, Blades comes in typically in the upper 260s or mid 260s. I was thinking Blades was going to have a good 20, 25 pounds on him. But let's see, they're both 6'3", 4-inch reach advantage for Blades. Yeah, they're pretty, and if they weighed in within a couple pounds of each other, then yeah, they're pretty even in size. So if using your weight and bullying someone is your strategy, I mean, it's hard when they're the same size as you and actually have a couple of inches in reach.
And a lot of experience in the wrestling department.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty safe to say I'm pretty confident in picking Blades here. I don't know if I'm going to lay minus 340. I could, yeah, but it's just, given, once again, Curtis Blades' chin issues, I don't know, man.
Heavyweight strikers.
Yes.
So, I mean,
anything could happen.
Yeah.
Anything could happen. It's just, but in terms, from a betting perspective, I don't see any submissions coming out of this. I don't see, but I would say I'd say knockout or decision are definitely possible from submission on Blades' end, and I'd say of course knockout on Blades or Kuniev's end. So in terms of bets, Kuniev via TKO, I mean plus 650.
Plus, yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that's a live bet. It's, I mean, just like I said, that's his strategy. Come out there in the beginning of the round, and if that doesn't work, well, try again the next round, because you ain't getting back up once Curtis Blades takes you down. Because I just don't see it. And then, but however, you got Blades via decision or Kuniev via TKO. This is an interesting one. Plus 115. I can't complain about that. Then we also have Kuniev
Blades by TKO being 115. Yeah.
No, Blades via decision or Kuniev via TKO. Either of those can happen for plus 115. So if one of those happen, you hit that one.
Okay.
So I just think either of those scenarios are very real. And then Kuniev versus Blades to end at a finish, I think, is a way better price than minus 340, which is minus 180. And then Blades via TKO, not bad, plus 110. And then for either of them to finish the fight in a TKO is -150. So there are a lot better prices here than taking a risk on Kuniev or laying -340 on the money line for Blades. So it's just you really got several options here to play with in terms of if you're doing multiple parlays. So but I don't know. I think Blades with his veteran savvy gets it done one way or the other. You know, I it wouldn't surprise me if this really did end a decision. Like I said, Kuniev comes after him, takes him down. That's the rest of the round. Comes at him, takes him down. That's the rest of the round. Ground and pound, whatever. Takes him down. He comes at him, takes him down. Like rinse and repeat. So I think that's a very real possibility happening. But unless Blades catches him, so but yeah, that's my take on it.
A 130 decision. Plus 130.
For the fight to end in a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I mean,
goes to a decision. Yeah,
that's not terrible, but yeah, I feel pretty safe. I think the safest bet out of all of those that I said, I would probably have to say Blades via decision or Kunia via TKO or the fight to end in a finish. I think would be probably the safest bets if I had to pick a couple out of those. So yeah, I'll go on the record with that. But
that all sounds good. Because Blades is my pick for this fight, but I would agree with you that price tag is something that makes me less confident in that pick if I were actually going to be, putting $100 down on it.
Absolutely. Well, that about wraps it up. So we wanted to cover just we kind of want to just talk about since we are the iPoke podcast, we got to talk about a little bit about some iPokes. So I don't really have an over under for this, but maybe whoever's closest to this, I guess whoever closest to this wins, and then maybe whoever's farthest away, maybe we can figure out the punishment later, maybe like a shoey or something.
We're guessing iPokes on this card.
Yeah. I just, but I still have to figure out how to count. Maybe if there's a statistic for eye pokes, but yeah. Who do you? How many eye pokes do you think are going to happen in this card?
So are we talking the entire card, just main card, including the prelim?
Actually, yeah, just this card. Let's do just this card.
Just the main card.
Or I'm sorry, excuse me. Just the fights that we have mentioned. Yeah, main card plus feature prelim.
Feature prelim. Okay, so in 6 fights, I don't think we're going to see an eye poke in every fight, but we might get 2 in one fight. I'm going to say 3 eye pokes.
3, all right.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with... I'm going to go actually over you on this one. I'm going to go with 5. So you got 3, I got 5. We're going on the record with that. So,
if it's 4, though, who wins?
To what?
If it's 4, who wins?
That's a very good question.
Should we
do maybe an over-under, maybe? Over-under 3.5? You want to do that? Okay. So you want to do... So what do you got? Under 3.5 or...
So yeah, I'll take the under, and I guess you're taking the over?
Yeah, I'll take the over 3.5. Let's do that. Let's do it that way. All right. Yeah. I don't know. That's about all I had. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about? Regarding the card, anything?
No, I think just as we're talking about eye pokes, Jason Herzog may have had a little bit of money on that Cejudo Song Yadong fight. As in making the 4th round start and then calling it, which made it, instead of going to a no contest, it went to the judges' scorecards.
That's that's the thing about all these freaking, eye pokes. I just wish they would. I don't. What's Joe Rogan's solution or something? They just changing the gloves.
He is obsessed with these fucking mittens that he wants. That he always talks about how it should cover the fingers. Um,
How would that
I
work?
don't know. I think fight mittens is a weird
Fight mittens.
solution to it. I think there should be way more point deductions. I mean,
Yeah.
so this, 3.5 was our over and under, unless all three of those are in one fight, maybe even in just one round. Unless that happens, there's not going to be any point deductions for eye pokes on this
Mhm.
card. You can poke someone in the eye definitely once, most likely twice. The third one, depending on how bad it is, you might get a point deducted, you know.
So
And then you
you
can
think
grab the
like
fence and
automatic point deductions is the way to go?
yeah, and then people will start just having a fist and they'll stop reaching out like that.
I
It's
hate seeing that. Yeah, that's never. I do hate seeing that. It's just, I mean, he's just one little eye poke has ruined so many, fights that
yeah.
were set to be just freaking bangers, and it's just one little eye poke just stopped the entire thing.
Mhm.
Bilal Muhammad comes to mind whenever we talk about that.
Right, yeah.
But
There's so many examples
mhm.
because it happens all the time. And if you were in the UFC, if you were thinking logically about it, would you not just do the John Jones and just, you know,
True.
frame with your fingers out? If all they're going to do is be like, hey, knock it off.
Yeah.
Like, okay, sure. And you're almost guaranteed to get a like stern warning before any points are deducted.
Hmm.
And then you go, okay, so now I'll just close fist and not do it. But if in the rules meeting before, they're right off the bat that like, listen, if it's absolutely accidental. Also, I think that replay should be allowed in the case of eye
Yeah.
pokes. Because we as fans get to see the replay, but the judges don't. They're relied on in that whole chaos of in the moment they were supposed to see it, be able to see and be like, okay, was this accidental? Because I've seen some where it was like, okay, you were punching and kind of your thumb grazed them. It's like, yeah, that is just an accident. It could potentially happen. But if it's like, no, you were backing up and you were extending your fingers out, or you were like trying to find the distance, you were moving forward and pushing your fingers out. If they start making that an automatic point deduction, you're going to see people just have a closed fist. They're going to have a better sense of urgency about it.
Yeah, and I think Jones versus Aspinall is going to have a very interesting look coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
Like in round one.
Well, I'm not sure if that's ever going to happen. I don't know if you saw Jones did an interview recently where someone asked him, just like, so if the figure was right, would you fight Aspinall, or are you just categorically saying like he does nothing for me? And then Jones is like, yeah, he does nothing for me. Why would I fight him? And he pretty much admitted, he was like, why would I fight like the younger guy when I could go fight someone like Pereira, um, and this is where it gets, who does so much more for my legacy? Because he was trying to talk it up like, oh, Pereira is this super great guy, and I beat him. That shows to my legacy, and it's like, well, no. Most fans would agree that you ducking Aspinall is, you know, uh, a negative part of your legacy.
Hmm.
But I don't know.
For
Maybe
sure.
sometimes that's not how legacy works. In 30 years, people might not remember, you know, the
Hmm.
fact that he ducked Aspinall. They might just look back at his record on the people he beat. But yeah, Jones seems very against fighting Aspinall. He's younger, he's more athletic, even though, Rampage Jackson, Lyoto Machida, Shogun Hua, all the big names that made John Jones who he is as the light heavyweight champion. Jones was younger and more athletic then. And now, he wants to stay on top, which on the one hand, I can't blame him for. But on the other hand, it's like, you're the heavyweight champion. How are you not fighting the interim heavyweight champion?
Hmm.
Like doing the one Stipe fight made sense. That was planned before
Mm-hmm.
Jones blew out his shoulder. But then after that, there shouldn't have been any question. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Aspinall is the interim champ. That should be the next fight.
Yeah.
And Jones was quick to just be like, nah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll fight Pereira. Maybe I'll.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's just because Dana loves him that that's being tolerated at all. If it
Mm-hmm.
was anyone else, Dana would be like, okay, well, you're vacating the belt if you're not going to fight the interim champ.
Yeah. It's not fair, but
Yeah.
that's Dana White for you. But yeah. Alrighty. So
Yeah,
that
we're on a
about
team now,
to
so we
what?
can wrap it up. I said we're way off the rails now.
No,
We
it's
can
all
wrap.
good, man. No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I just want to tell everybody thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please like, please subscribe. This is our first episode with hopefully many, 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 many more to come. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully, you just tell us, what you thought of our picks, what you liked, what you didn't like. Let us know in the comments. Until then, we'll see you next time. Take care.